Well, this sucks.
Greetings, fellow mortals. Just a reminder, saying it's just my opinion is for cowards. I'm gonna be honest with you here. I didn't hear about Pixar's newest film, Elio, until a week before it released. And the way I heard about it was the projections about how much money the film was going to lose on its opening weekend. Until then, I hadn't even heard a whisper about this film's existence.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
This is odd because Pixar doesn't just host some of my favorite animated movies ever, it's the studio that brought some of my favorite movies overall. Ratatouille is probably close to a perfect story and allegory for art in general. Kind of like The Menu, I guess the common ground we all share for food is a good comparison for our love of stories and art. And not just that one, WALL-E, Up, the Toy Story films, Soul, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, the Cars franchise. Okay, not all of them are all-time perfect classics. Everyone has a few swings and misses.
No, not you, Seamus.
Ah, poop. But even then, the first car movie isn't terrible or anything. The sequels, on the other hand, are a different story. But still, the original idea wasn't horrible. It's fun if by the numbers doesn't use the premise to its full advantage, and it's kind of generic in terms of its theming. But even then, Pixar's worst was on par with most studios' best.
Really makes you think.
Until Cars 2, where things got a little bit rocky, right after Toy Story 3, which really makes you think about the premise of that film. It just goes to show that maybe good things are meant to come to an end, and we should embrace that. I mean, Brave would have been better if it wasn't advertised as a warrior princess movie instead of a mother-daughter drama film, but this is just the beginning of the shift in Pixar. What do I mean by that? Well, most of the films before Brave were about parenting, being a parent, growing to be independent on your own, or even simply being an adult. Brave is the first project where the movie was more about being parented than being a parent.
I can explain.
Marlon is searching for the son who needs to learn to rely on himself. Mike and Sully take care of a human child together. Toys deal with the reality that the kids will eventually grow up and not need them anymore. Mr. Incredible has to deal with his midlife crisis and come to terms that his family is his adventure now. Carl connects with Russell on his journey to honor his wife. It's not exactly subtle stuff here.
Oh, it's so obvious. I would have never thought of that.
Even movies like Bug's Life, Ratatouille, and WALL-E are more about adult issues, finding your place, following your passion, searching for love. Brave was almost entirely about Merida's relationship with her mother and the differences in generations. When I was a kid, I hated the movie, but now I'm slightly more fond of it. Is it perfect? Was it perfectly executed? No, but it's still good. It's still decent.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
I just think that the advertising was bad at the time. The trailers made you think that Merida was going to go on a journey to change her fate, using her archery in order to overcome obstacles, not bicker and make problems with her mother. It's a decent movie in retrospect, but it definitely feels like it fell short in more than a few aspects, mostly being that Merida is kind of annoying.
Will you shut up?
Okay, she's going to be married off. That sucks. She wants to change that. It's a good premise, a good starting point. But the idea of using magic to make her mom a bear was a mistake, making things more comedic than serious. It kind of feels like a ripoff of Brother Bear. Remember that one? I only do because of the memes.
Oh, and remember Bionic Man? Remember Chewbacca again? Oh, I love to remember Chewbacca.
and the trend continues after Brave, except for the unnecessary prequels and sequels, but I don't particularly like any of them either after Toy Story 3. Not a single one of them. Not good. Incredibles 2 has a few memes that are good, but talk about a gigantic step down from a 10 out of 10 to like a 6 out of 10. All of them were such massive downgrades Pixar was required to make because Disney ordered them to in order to make a cash cow.
We've got to have money.
Not only that, there was also the trend of having the films being about kids needing to be parented, their relationships with the people guiding them. Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur, Coco, Luca, Turning Red, even Onward to an extent. Most of the original ideas have to do with people dealing with their problems and conflicts with their parents, not the other way around. And, well, writers tend to write about what they're thinking about.
I am bad, and that's good. I will never be good, and that's not bad. There's no one I'd rather be than me.
Not to say that this was always terribly done. Inside Out and Coco are very good. They have something to say other than being a kid is difficult. But the others struggle. They're not entirely as memorable as some of Pixar's best. Who is going to tell me that Turning Red is their favorite Pixar film?
Coincidence? I think not!
Like I said, Inside Out and Coco are good, but here's the thing, it has to do with the annoying child character issue that I did another video about that you should go watch after this. Riley and Miguel don't really act like children all of the time. They act like small adults trying to help the best that they can in weird situations. Compare it to other films where kids act very childish.
That makes sense to me.
Then take it.
It's not my wallet.
And yes, that's the point. They're kids. Kids are supposed to relate to these characters. But you have to be careful not to make them too annoying. Even kids and teenagers get annoyed with each other. In fact, they can't stand who they were even a few years prior. Some of them can't even stand who they are right now.
Oh, I made myself sad.
Look at Boo from Monsters, Inc. She cries, screams, and runs off on her own. It would be very simple for her to become annoying, yet the people who made her understood the assignment. She's a tiny girl who can barely talk surrounded by monsters. Of course she's going to get scared and cry. Of course she's going to scream. It would be crazy if she wasn't emotional in these circumstances.
First, let's get one thing straight. I'm not crying. I'm just sweating through my eyes.
But they still limit her annoying factor by using a few things. One, Mike and Sully are terrible caretakers. If they did even a mildly adequate job, Boo would be fine. Two, Boo's reactions are surprisingly logical if you think about it, almost as though she's not acting like a true child. And three, she's cute enough to get away with being slightly annoying.
Out of the way, you.
Preteens and teenagers being quirky isn't going to make a timeless film for the ages. People are going to grow out of these concepts, especially when other films have done the ideas better. Land Before Time for The Good Dinosaur, Everything Everywhere All at Once for Turning Red, Ponyo for Luca. I'm just saying that older Pixar films are still the standards for their stories, not the other way around.
Listen, you little wiseacre. I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Pixar still does come out with movies about adults and adult issues. Elemental is a very good film about finding love, with very obvious real-world comparisons to discrimination, something a lot of people deal with even to this day. You could consider the idea a bit too on the nose at times, but it's honest and funny. It's a shame it didn't do all that well in comparison to others financially. It's not a bomb, but executives would never give this film a second look for a possible sequel or spin-off.
Oh, I forgot
how bad it looks.
I've seen worse.
Soul, however, is a complete anomaly. It is the closest to the Pixar of old instead of what would I consider the second stage of Pixar as a studio. Joe is a grown man facing problems with his career and being a mentor towards kids. It's right up there with Ratatouille, if not higher up in terms of my ranking. It is close to being a perfect film. Unfortunately, it came out during COVID lockdowns, so there was no possible way for it to be successful in any conceivable way.
Well, that sucks.
And unfortunately, that probably taught people in the studio and the executives involved the wrong lessons. The true thing to take out of it was that life just sucks sometimes, and that good things will fail in the perfectly wrong circumstances that were COVID. Instead, the lesson they think they should learn is that no one wants movies about an adult parenting or being a mentor.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Because since then, woof in comparison. Luca, Turning Red, Lightyear, Inside Out 2, not as good as the first one, not even close. Sorry, not sorry. I know it made a ton of money, of course it did. There's a reason that the new Toy Story movie will make money even though number 4 was terrible and the franchise just needs to end at this point.
Just let me die! Just let me die! Let me die in peace!
And Elio, good God, I've seen part of the film and I was not enjoying it. All of the characters are really annoying. I don't like the Grubhub art style. I thought the plot was dumb and full of conveniences and contrivances. I hate when a story relies on people being absolute morons for a story to function at all.
Are you crazy? Or just plain stupid?
There was no marketing before its release, and there was no positive word of mouth for it after release, because it sucked. Of course it was doomed to fail. What other option was there?
What do you mean? I have $100.
Not anymore, you don't. Poof.
There were reports that there were changes made to the film about LGBT plus issues. After some screen testing, it didn't do all that well and was not very well liked, so executives decided to pull the LGBT plus themes out of it. Elio was supposed to be, and I looked this up to be accurate, more queer coded, which I don't know. The kid's balls obviously haven't dropped yet. I don't know how gay he could be, but that was still removed. So maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit that it was a bit better with the extra content. Who knows at this point?
Well, what are you waiting for?
I don't know. Something amazing, I guess.
Me too, kid.
And that brings a big lesson about all this. Corpos don't care about your message or your group. They'll cast away any belief or morals for money. It's not that complicated. They're not your friends and they're not your allies. Of course, they edited the LGBT plus themes out due to poor screen testing. Did you think they wouldn't do so otherwise? Look how quickly they pull the rainbows down as soon as July starts. Just look at Disney and China in the Middle East. Corpos don't care about anything other than money.
Stupid is, stupid does, Mrs. Blue.
I guess.
I'd ask what's next, but their next 3 films have already been announced, and they seem to be focused more around animals and an unnecessary Toy Story sequel. So these films might do a bit better financially and be better received. Suckers will always fall for Toy Story no matter what. And animals are hard to mess up as long as you don't make them annoying kids. But they are little creatures needing to be taken care of, so we'll see if these problems still bleed through.
Now we play the waiting game. No, the waiting game sucks. Let's play Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Just listen to this description of hoppers. What if you could talk to animals and understand what they're saying? Great way to start this, by the way, is what if. That's always a good descriptor, as if you start with what if. Ugh. In Disney and Pixar's all-new feature film hoppers, scientists have discovered how to hop human consciousness into lifelike robotic animals, allowing people to communicate with animals as animals. The adventures introduced Mabel, an animal lover who seizes an opportunity to use the technology, uncovering mysteries within the animal world that are beyond anything she could have imagined.
Well, time to erase that forever.
Gonna be honest, that doesn't sound all that good, but you could do the exact same thing to Ratatouille if you read the description and the premise, so there's that. It's clear that this Pixar isn't the Pixar of old anymore. The people in the company are different, and you can see the shift between Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4. A movie based on the fact that old things are bad and need to go away for new things that are objectively worse in every conceivable way.
Oh, that's real nice.
Pixar used to be about showing kids and families what parenting and adulting are like. Now it's about dealing with being parented in the trauma of your childhood. The studio has effectively been infantilized, not just in its focus, but in its storytelling. Stories about kids can still be good, even great, but not like this, not like Elio.
Boring.
It doesn't seem like Pixar is the gold standard anymore. It's just another studio now, and that is disappointing. Perhaps inevitable. No one can be the best forever, but this slow decline is going to be very disheartening when we get to Toy Story 11.
Whoa! This is worthless.
It's less than worthless, my boy.
Because it sucks when there are less good stories out there, whether they be family friendly or not. Just because kids can enjoy a film or a story doesn't mean that it has to be hot garbage. Adults can get something out of it too, but this is where we are now. They can still turn things around at Pixar, invest in better writers, and do unique animation that isn't all the same Grubhub stuff. I won't be holding my breath, of course, but still, it's not the end times yet.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
And it's weird to see the people behind Elio criticize the audience for not going to see it, saying that we don't actually want original ideas anymore, but we do. I can think of a couple of projects off the top of my head from this year that were completely original ideas that were great and did well financially. It's just that they were really well done. They were really good. And Elio, well, it's not a good film. I don't know what to tell you.
Good clean. Shave, maybe some cologne. The chicks will be all over you.
If you build it, they will come. There's no getting around that. You gotta put in the quality. You gotta put in the time, the originality, the Pixar of old. The Pixar of old didn't have good human characters. They all looked terrible, but they still got around that by not showing faces all that often. You just have to put in the work and make something that's quality.
For the sake of our children, we must be better.
Otherwise, everything is just going to fall apart. It's inevitable. But what do you think? Did you enjoy Elio? Do you miss the Pixar of old? What's your favorite Pixar movie? Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, if you disagree with everything I have to say, that is perfectly fine. After all, everyone is entitled to their objectively wrong opinion.
My work here is done.
Thank you all so much for watching.
You're still here?
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. You bye. Boom.
Do not despair.